Hi, hello, and welcome to day 7. As you can see, I'm freaking out a little bit. My mouse died halfway through the intro, so I was freaking out and screaming at the chat with the panelists, but I got it figured out. We're here with 4 amazing guests. They're all MVH belt winners. 2 of the guys on here are actually hacker millionaires. You have already seen them before on the stream. I'm going to switch the screen and let them introduce themselves, and we're going to talk about what it takes to become an MVH winner and how it feels to be going to these events as hackers traveling the world and getting paid. So let's bring on our guests really quickly. Starting with you, Joel. For some reason, people don't know you already. You've been on my stream before, but go ahead and introduce yourself. We'll go from you, Andre, Tommy, and Cosman.
Techno Geek. You know me, I'm a mobile hacker primarily, but yeah, it's awesome to be back.
Go ahead, Andre.
Hey Ben, thanks for inviting us to the stream. It's great to be here on Cosmic Times. And I'm basically a professor in University of Porto. I have some side projects as well. And also I started Bug Bounties like 2 years ago, and I'm enjoying it very much.
You're also known as a Shopify guy. You forgot that part.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. We can talk about that later on the stream.
Cosman, what about you? On mute, Cosman. Cosman, you're on mute, my friend. I can't hear you.
Yes, hi.
There we
My
go.
name is Cosman, full-time bug bounty hunter in Germany. Great to be here.
I think we lost Tommy. There he is. Is he back? There we go. Tommy, you right on time for your introduction, my friend.
Sorry, Firefox updated itself while in the background and everything, so I didn't get to. I hit the button by accident and it kicked me. But what am I supposed to say? Introduce myself? I'm Tommy, Doggy G. If you're watching this, you probably know who I am. So hi.
You've been on this stream plenty of times. You were just on here Sunday, so we can skip your introduction. I think most people are familiar with your face already. So welcome. Thank you guys all for joining me today. So tell me, everybody besides Tommy, since you've already been on here Sunday, how's everybody, how long has everyone been hacking on bug bounties, and how'd you guys get started?
Yeah, so I guess I started, I don't know, I started hacking stuff. If you want to call it hacking, I started hacking when I was like, 10 or 11. But I started like doing a lot of like what I would consider like the stuff that's relevant towards what I'm doing, which is like reverse engineering mobile apps and looking at how like API calls work and stuff. Probably around 2015, 2014 or 2015. And I was doing like some personal projects. I didn't even know about bug bounty at the time. And then I got introduced to bug bounty while I was doing an internship in 2017, and I participated in the mobile CTF for H1702. And I got an invite, and that like got me introduced to this whole thing. I had like no idea what bug bounty was until then, and then I've been doing it ever since.
You were hooked, I assume.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead to you, Andre. What about you, my friend?
Yeah, so I started very early as well, like Joel, like 10 or 11, maybe, like what you can call hacking, basically. But I started like programming, as many of us that came from programming background or a IT background. But basically, I started programming Visual Basic and shit. And then I moved like to some high school pranks. I took the bachelor's degree in computer science, basically. And then I moved to the security master's in information security in Porto, and then I just started exploring security. And I remember it was like 2015 or 16, and I went to HackerOne.com or Buggerall.com, whatever, and I was like, damn, these guys are really good. Like they can find real world stuff, Right. And at the time I was playing just CTFs, simulated scenarios, and then I moved. I not actually moved, but because I still do some CTFs and I make some CTFs as well. I build them as well. But I enjoy bug bounties very much because of the reward. The collaboration aspect is very important as well. I enjoy it very much to work with some friends. For instance, I was hacking Joel yesterday, and we popped the critical before the end of the event, so we delivered.
Nice.
And then I just started doing bug bounties, got the MVH, and it's a new reality basically.
What about you, Cosman?
So for me, it was purely by accident. Pretty funny story. So I was a software developer, and I went to a practical hacking seminar, and there I learned about the existence of the bug bounty platforms like HackerOne or Crowd. I literally had no idea that something like this existed. So I registered there. I did it like part-time with my work, tried to find something, but I couldn't do much stuff. But I really loved it, and I persevered, like a bit obsessed with it, and did it part-time in my job. And then I switched to full-time bug bounty hunting because I was extremely bored of programming.
Wow, very cool. That's awesome. And Tommy, everybody already knows your story since you came on Sunday, but give us a TLDR. Give us 140 characters.
I'm a hacker. I started as a kid, went to prison. Now I'm paid to do it legally.
And you and Cosman are both $1 million hackers on HackerOne, right?
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
I'm trying to be the first one to hit $2 million.
Very cool. That's awesome. The race is on. All right.
Yeah, I'm not too far off.
Before we get started, remind me again, or people that haven't watched these as frequently, what event did you guys all win? Tommy, you just recently won your belt at...
I won H1 415 this year, back in February. It's the event that's held at the HackerOne home city.
Yep. What about you, Cosman?
I won in H1 702 last year in Las Vegas.
Very cool. What about you, Joel?
I won at H1 212 2019 in New York last year.
Are you looking at your belt while you say this? Like, do you have your belt?
I really had to think. I had it, but I was thinking if I should have it behind me. And I was like, it'll be fine. And now I'm like thinking, what year was it? Yeah, I think it was 2019.
Doing the same. I wanted to put my belt on display right behind me for this, but I wasn't sure if you guys were going to, so I didn't.
All right. What about this, Andre? Tell us what you won and where you won, and if you have your belt, we'll give you 20 seconds to go grab it. Andre, which one did you win?
Okay, I can grab it. It's over there, but it was H1 202 basically in Washington D.C. 2018.
And you came through a CTF, right? You're gonna come back. We'll talk about it. I know a few of you guys came through a CTF, so while everyone gets their belts really quickly, the four of them have won different events. There we go. Hold that right there. Let's wait for Cosmo so we can get a photo of it too. But the four of you guys have won different events. Joel won the New York event. There we go. Awesome. Hold it up for a photo. Let me get a photo of this. Someone clip that, please. I'm hoping somebody clipped it. All right. Awesome. So, Andre, you said you came through to the Washington event, right? You came from a CTF, correct? You won a CTF and you came into the live hacking events that way?
Yeah, so basically I qualified through CTF to Las Vegas 2017, H1702, like my friend Joel. And he could find some stuff. He was a mobile hacker at the time, like really good. And he popped some stuff, but I wasn't that lucky. And then I wasn't invited again. I tried to qualify one time, and then I qualified for the event I won in DC through a CTF. And thank you guys thank you HackerOne for this opportunity, basically.
And what about you, Joel? You were from the H1702 CTF, right? You came in from winning that CTF.
Yeah, so at the time I was doing an internship at a security consulting company, and the guy who sat across from me was known by the username Cool Boss.
Cool Boss.
Cool Boss, yeah. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I do this thing called bug bounty, and I get paid for bugs." And I was like, "That's pretty cool. Like, whatever. Tell me more about it." And he was telling me about these crazy Facebook bugs that he had found. And then he told me, he was like, "Hey, there's this mobile CTF going on," and like I was doing all mobile security stuff at this consulting company at the time. So he, it kind of fit, and I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll try it out. I like CTFs. So that just like, it was pretty easy for me because I was doing mobile security,
Right.
and I got an invite, and then the target ended up being. I don't know if I should talk about this.
We talked about this already yesterday. We talked about the fact
Yes.
that you were you came into a CTF. I will be the person to ruin the rules in case someone gets the heat for it. Let it be me. You came in for a CTF at H1702. The target was the company you work for today, Uber, and you got hired literally a year later after the event, right? Like it was a year and some change after you did the CTF. You found a really cool bug. We can't talk about that. It was a really, really cool bug on the iOS version of the app. You did some really batshit crazy stuff, and then again a year later you were hired as a security engineer, right?
Yeah, it had to have been. It was actually probably less than a year later because that would have been, because I started in like May, I think, after the summer, right? So it would have been the summer after my sophomore year. So maybe like 6 months later, I was hired as an intern, and then I did my internship, and I decided to drop out of college, and then I went and started full time about a month later.
On the topic of dropping off of college, if you want to hear Joel's whole interview, because that interview was really cool because we talked about money and saving money, making money at a young age, and like just blowing through it. If you want to watch this interview, it's really, really cool. Go ahead and watch it on YouTube later. Cosman, Tommy, you both got invited through the algorithm, right? It was either you were a top hacker on the platform, top hacker on the program. You were just naturally invited to the events because of your activity on HackerOne, correct?
Yeah, I think. Can y'all hear me, or am I muted?
Yep.
Okay. I assume so. Most of the events that I get invited to tend to have a common target in common. So most of the events that I come to are Verizon's events. I've been to quite a few other ones as well, but in the past like year and a half, it's mostly been Verizon's events.
Cosman, what about you, my friend?
Yeah, same for me. Like, I was probably invited first time in Las Vegas last year, 2 years ago, in 2018, because one of the targets was already a program I was actively hacking for quite some time.
Very cool. Do you guys remember your first ever invite to the event? Joel, I bet it was a cool feeling to get invited as an intern from where you were interning and being at this huge thing. How did it feel getting that invite? The congratulations, you've been invited email.
So I recall like reading about this, and I was like, what is like HackerOne, and like what is H1702? What is this whole thing? And I'd seen like the promo video for the very first live hacking event, which was the one previous to the Vegas one the year prior. And like they had said, like, award winners get flown out or whatever. Like I hadn't even like absorbed that was like for this CTF. I thought they were just talking about the previous one. So I got an email and they were like, yeah, like we're flying you to Vegas to go to DEF CON. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to DEF CON this year. Like, and then I had to like get it cleared with like the company, and it was like this whole big like rush. But yeah, I mean, I like totally wasn't expecting it.
Very cool. What about you, Andre? You also had a similar background with Joel. You came through a CTF. How did it feel to get that email that says, "Hey, 1, you've been selected, and 2, we're flying you out, all expenses paid for your first live hacking event"?
Very exciting, man. I remember I was with my parents at the time, and I got the email. I was kind of expecting it because of the CTF, because at the time I was like in first or second place on that CTF.
Right.
And I was like, I published a good write-up, so I was kind of expecting it, but still a little bit not so sure about it. But it felt just great. I've never been like to the States or like so far from Portugal, so I got really excited for the opportunity at the time.
Very cool. And then Cosman, what about you when you got your first invitation? I'm sure you didn't know you were going to get invited because you didn't participate in the CTF. You were just naturally invited, right? How did it feel to get that email like, hey, you're flying to this city to hack?
Yeah, so first, I actually couldn't believe it. It was like an email saying, yeah, so there's an event in Las Vegas. You're invited, and we're going to pay for your flights, pay for accommodation, and it's a multi-day event, so lots of targets. And I was like, wow. This is so awesome. I just heard about those events, but it was one of my goals to actually be able to participate one time in one event, but I was definitely not expecting that invite, and it was a bit surreal.
Yeah. What about you, Tommy? I know we talked about this a little bit on Sunday.
My first live event was H1702 in Las Vegas in 2016, and you're actually the person that told me I was coming. I um, I got invited like after like most people had, but I had just gotten 2 RCE bugs on Yahoo at
Yep.
the time, and it was like pretty cool, and it was hacking with Ben and Ziot a little bit leading up to that and everything. And I guess once the people at Verizon saw that I had just found 2 RCEs in the span of like a week on a program like Yahoo, they we're like, oh, let's see if he wants to come. So, Ben, actually, you sent me the message like, hey, we're going to be doing a live hacking event in Las Vegas for DEF CON this year. Would you like to come? And I was like, well, duh.
The only
And
memory of that event that I have from H1702, the first one, is all of us really intoxicated in the bathroom, sitting
in
on
the
the floor.
bathroom,
I'm sitting with Mikhail on the bathroom floor, looking at this like Django stack trace that was leaking our Google API
Yeah.
keys, and we were so trash that we couldn't figure out what it was. We it says Google API key, but we couldn't figure out where it went. Nothing, and I just submitted it. And you just come in, you go right to the bathroom with a cigarette. You just walk by very nonchalant in a non-smoking room. You just pull one out. There we go, just like that, and started smoking. Let's talk about becoming an MVH. Did you guys expect, or did you even think in your mind that you were going to become an MVH when your name was called out to go on the stage for your belt? Let's talk about you, Tom, because yours was very, very recent, and it's the program that you've been hacking on for. You've been chasing that belt for a while, dude.
Am I muted, or can y'all
You are
hear
not
me?
muted.
Okay, so yeah, I've been chasing it for quite a couple years, I guess. And I've always said that if I ever got the belt, it was going to end up being on Yahoo or Verizon. And well, I was really hoping that I was going to win it when I just did back in February, but I was never confident just because you never really know exactly what the like what it's going to take to become to win the belt at any given event. It's
Right.
not like just because you're number one on the leaderboard or you've made the most money and stuff like that. So that's why I actually tried to be a little bit more helpful as well through that event in the weeks leading up to it, trying to answer questions for people and give them tips about how to approach certain targets on Verizon and everything like that. Just basically trying to be helpful and everything like that to up my chances. And but yeah, all the way up until they actually said my name, I was hopeful but not very confident because that had been like my 4th event or something like that with Verizon as the target, and I was getting discouraged that I didn't win it even any time previously, but I'm happy to finally have done it.
Now before
It's
our
definitely
friends,
something off the bucket list.
now before our friends at Verizon Media make this comment, not Verizon, Verizon Media. That's
Oh
happened
yeah,
twice.
Verizon Media. I
You have
apologize.
been
It's
corrected
Verizon
twice.
Digital Media Services or something like that is what
Yes.
the whole thing, but it's Verizon Media, not the parent company Verizon.
There we go. That's all better, I think. They're happy about it. What about you, Joel? You won as a team. Did you guys even think about being? Because the bug you guys found was very crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the bug was crazy. I'm not.
We can't get into that, but
We can't get into that. But here's like, I've been to a lot of events and
Yeah.
I've done my fair share of show and tells. I've won my fair share of awards. I've only won a belt once. Every single person I've seen win a belt has won it for a very good reason. And even when I found the bug, I didn't expect it to be like the MVH bug.
right.
Looking at it, like now seeing like the whole event in perspective, yeah, it makes sense. But at the time, like I think every single time when I would get to the end of an event, I would see people present their bugs, and I would be blown away at how like crazy they were in comparison to mine, right?
Right.
And so So even when you find something that is crazy, like there is sort of always that assumption that somebody else has found something that's crazier. And so like, you know, I was like, wow, this is a crazy bug, but nah, I had no idea that it was going to win. Like there, you know, there was just no way to tell. And I was just like, I think there's a video somewhere on your Twitter, probably that shows like the reaction. I just had, yeah.
I have a few videos I'm going to bring up here in a few seconds, but let's switch to you, Cosman. What about you, my friend? You, did you think when your name was called, were you expecting it at all? You know.
Yeah, no, no, I wasn't expecting it at all. Like, mostly because it's also 3 different targets last year in Vegas. I knew I'd done really well at one, but I was average at best in the other 2 days. So no, it was unexpected. Like until that point, I've got some like those lesser trophies, so to say them, up to that point, but I was not expecting to actually get the belt. It was a really pleasant surprise.
Fair enough. And Andre, what about you?
Yeah, so I was not expecting it at all because at the time Franz Rosen was like killing that event, and
Right.
I mean, an MVH is someone that finds like that delivers. Obviously, that makes a difference on an event. The event will not be the same, not for the customer, not for the platform, not for the people that participate on the event, the other hackers, you know, like the knowledge involved. And like, I get it, because like people have different skills, and like the MVH is not just about like the money or like the impact. It's about being the most valuable hacker, someone that is like willing to help others and like to share knowledge and to deliver no matter what. And friends did that, but I was a newcomer, so I had more value because of that, I guess. So, and it was a great feeling.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much about it's more than, it's not just about all the bugs, right? It's not whoever gets the most bugs or the most money. It's the overall event, who has, you know, performed the best as a person contributing to the event, right? But I want to hear from you guys. How did it feel to get your names called up? Like, you know, it's got to be a very, very cool feeling to just, you know, sitting in the crowd wondering, oh, I wonder who's going to win this time, to, you know, getting your name called out. And before you guys answer that, I'm gonna pull up a little clip and hopefully it works. I'm gonna actually cover your faces really quickly. So this is a video I want to show. Is a video of Joel and team getting called up. I'll do it one more time. You can see Joel's face just going like, he covers his face, not believing in it. How did it feel, dude? I want to start with you, since that was a video that we just brought up.
Yeah, I mean, like, so like, I will say, when you have a bug like the one that we had, like, it's definitely on your mind that it's a possibility, right? Like, so especially leading up to it, like, you think like, you know, there's a pretty real possibility that like your name could get called, but there's also a pretty real possibility that somebody else's name gets called, because like it's not like there's, you know, just like $50,000 on the board, right? You're talking about like hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been paid to lots of different teams, right? Lots of different teams have gotten lots of crazy bugs. It's really about, it's about more than the bug, right? It's about like how have you contributed, how have you helped back, how's your team work together, like it's so many different factors. And so like, I don't know. It was just like, you know, just like a rush, you know, and like, I think you could see in the video.
But you got to feel accomplished too, right? It's got to give you a feeling of accomplishment to.
For sure.
What about
I
you?
mean, the feeling of accomplishment is for sure there, because, you know, like you won, right? Like you and all those other people that you worked with all day, all week, you know, you won.
Yeah. What about you, Andre?
Sorry, I was distracted with Twitter. Can you repeat the question, please?
Just how did it feel?
Too many notifications.
Yeah, to get your name called up.
Yeah, me and Andre just got called out for best bug of the day yesterday.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Nice.
But how
High
did it
five,
feel?
Joel.
What did it feel
Yeah,
for
it
you
wa-
to win? You know.
Just like you don't believe it. It just like it's hard to describe actually because you just kind of feel cold. I don't know, like your spine just like it's an amazing feeling to be like one of many that are there on the event doing their best, like no sleep, like it's just like I can describe that for with like more words.
Absolutely. What about you, Cosman?
Yeah, so like kind of a shock. I was like a little locked, didn't realize what was happening. And then if I think about it now, I have some like blackouts. I remember I got called, and then I was on the podium rising up the belt and being super happy. A lot of like really positive emotions from there. So yeah, like Andre said, it's a very interesting mixture of feelings, some coldness in the spine, and then happiness, and yeah, everything comes into place.
And
That
Tom, before
moment.
you answer this, I'm gonna see if I can pull up your video really quickly. You can kind of see your face in there, walking to the crowd to collect your belt. And this was just at H1415 recently. Tell me, what was going through your mind as you were walking up to, get your belt? And you're on mute if you are speaking right now.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I said finally. That's what was going through my head. Like I finally got it, and being grateful that it was with the Verizon's team, just because it's like I don't know. All of my milestones have basically come because of Verizon. So for me to get the MVH belt on their at one of their events was really badass. Like I love everything about their program.
Very cool. But let's talk about going in and winning a belt, right? So, what was the game plan going in? I know you probably didn't have like a set plan of I'm going to do this, 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 and this to win. But why do you think you won the belt at the event that you won? Leading up to it, like what were some things? Starting with you, Tommy. What were some things you did that you think helped you win an MVH belt, both technical and non-technical perspective?
I spent more time actually hacking for H1415 leading up to it than I had probably for every other live event that I've attended combined. For almost every day for the time that the scope was released, and then all the way through the actual day of the event itself, I was putting in a minimum of 10 to 12, sometimes as many as 14 to 16 hours each day with a couple of my friends that I hack with a lot. And I pretty much the goal was just to find as many bugs as I could. I didn't want to look for low level bugs and stuff like that because I do this for a full-time job, so I do this to make money. And when you have your favorite target at a live event, there's all kinds of bonuses and stuff like that. So I was looking at this trying to find as many things as I could to make as much as I could.
Very
And
cool.
hopefully win the belt along the way.
So it was a lot of hours, I assume. You said you
A lot there. I spent an absolute minimum of, I would say, 100 to 120 hours of actually looking at things. Then that's not including the time that was running like any type of recon or anything like that.
Wow, very
I
cool.
put a lot of effort into 415.
That's a lot of hours, yeah. What about you, Andre? Why do you think, now looking back at it, what was it that made you successful at this event where you got your MVH belt?
I just tried first. I took my second chance. It was my second event. I wanted to do my best because I was disappointed with my performance on the year before in Vegas. But also, like it was a collaboration like with my friend Gillis. He's also watching. Like
Shout
we
out to
just
Gillis.
try, like, yeah, he's on the chat. I've seen him. So like we just try to hack the target as much as possible, and I was a little bit more luckier. But then like I just tried to do everything I could, like to push myself to the limit, and that's it. Like you just act for hours and hours and hours, like endless nights, and eventually like criticals happen.
Okay. And what about you, Cosman?
So for me, prior to that event, I had like about I would say 2 or 3 weeks of, let's say, researching.
Okay.
And I knew that in that event, based on all the historical facts, my favorite program will be there. So I invested a lot of time, like many hours to that event. But I also did not neglect the other targets. So I wanted to be able to actually find some stuff also for the other targets, just not go 100% of my favorite program.
Very cool. And Joel, you won a group or a team event. How much work did it take for you? Well, thinking back at it, what things did you have to do in order for this to work out? Like just thinking back at it, if you wanted to be like, this is what I did for me to win my belt, what would you say?
Okay, so I'll start out with that. The bug that we found that probably won us the belt was found like during the event. So it wasn't like anything prior, it wasn't anything we looked at prior, it was all like during the event. When it comes to like any program in general, I try to like think about what the threat model looks like, and sort of like what if you were working for that company and you were working on their bug bounty program and you got a bug from a researcher, how would you think, like what would the most severe scenario look like to you, right? Like what is their threat model? And if you can think about that and you can hunt in a way that actually targets their threat model, right? Is it user data? Is it being able to hit other services internally? Is it, like XSS? Is it like things that are exposed to other users, right? Like whatever it is, if you target that, you're going to get the most bounties and you're going to get the highest impact bugs. So I think in this case, it was actually like a fresh scope that had been released during the event. Like it was like a 2-day thing. And when you're attacking like a fresh scope like that, it's important to just sort of like compartmentalize everything that you're looking at and sort of like classify it and then go and choose which thing you want to hunt after. And like particularly, you're going to want to look at things that are hard to access. So either they have a monetary limit, like a blocker, like either a paid membership or something that most people aren't going to pay for to get access to unless they really want the features, or something that's obscure, right? That most people aren't going to take the time or know how to look at. In this case, it was the latter. So it was something that was obscure, that needed a certain set of skills to look at to be able to bypass some security checks and actually find the vulnerability. But it's usually like those cases because once you get to a certain point, right? If you're like deep, as I would call it, like in a program, right? You're certain like layers into a bug. You know that nobody else is there, right? You know that you're not going to get duped. You know that it's not even at risk of a dupe. And that's the kind of bugs that you want to be hunting for, that are impactful if you can pull it off, and that nobody else has been there just because of the amount of time and the amount of effort and the amount of steps and stuff that it's required to get there.
And now, what role did collaboration play in any of you guys winning? Starting with you, Joel, because you again were on the team event. So yours was a little bit different. You had to collaborate at that event, which led on to winning. But I want to know, like, what role do you think collaborating with the other 3 hackers played in you winning this belt?
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing to work with multiple people, because there's a couple like really unique things that happen. But I think one of the like cooler cooler things that sort of like happens regardless of who you work with is that you have more minds thinking about the same problem. And the more minds you have thinking about the same problem, the more solutions you come up with for that problem, right? There are always multiple solutions to a problem. And if you think about it, bug bounty is kind of just like problem solving, right? Like, how do I get from where I'm at to where I want to be? And where I want to be is this, XSS popping, this SSRF, this whatever, right? So how can I work my way around these systems to make them do that? And the solutions that everybody comes up with vary based on their experience. And so the more people that you have, the more experiences, the more like, you have somebody from a sysadmin perspective, you have somebody from like a formal pen testing background, you have somebody from like just bug bounty, right? You combine all these backgrounds and all these different bugs and experiences that they have had on their own, and all the different things that they've tried and they've seen in the past. And you get like really, really unique ideas and really, really unique bugs. And you'll find that like a lot of the stuff that you try might not work, but you'll find one thing that does work. And it lets you just sort of cover your surface area a lot quicker when you have all four minds being able to determine like, this is a good thing to look at, this isn't a good thing to look at. And the other thing is that like with a team, you hold yourself to a higher standard, right? So like 4 people aren't going to submit some like self XSS or open redirect or something, right? Because like what you're going to split like a $250 bounty 4 ways, like it's not worth it, right? You'd rather have something highly impactful that all 4 people like feel good about, and that you're going to get a good bounty that's going to be split 4 ways and still everybody's going to come away like happy. So I think that's also a big factor in the team part of it.
What about you, Cosmin? Did you collaborate with anybody, or did collaboration play a role at all in you winning your belt?
So at that event, actually, I collaborated on the most impactful bug we had on Verizon Media. It may have helped. I don't know exactly, but it definitely all the collaborations leading prior to that event helped, because it changes a bit your mindset. You also, like Joel said, you push yourself harder because you're in a team, and you also get to see how other people think, and so it also broadens your approach, your mind. You learn new techniques, so it definitely helped me, but in a more indirect way.
Fair enough. What about you, Andre? Did you, when you were winning your belt at the Washington event, Washington DC event, did you collaborate with anybody? Did collaboration play any roles in achieving the MVH belt?
Yeah, so like I said before, I collaborated with Gilles on some bugs. I also remember to meet Justin Garner at the time. We also worked together, and other people. And yeah, so I agree with everything that has been said regarding when you hack as a team, you can just pull it off. Like the complex stuff that you're after, like you can pull it off. If you're like with someone, it's like easier. You can pull it off like alone, but if you're on a team, you have more eyes, more brain power. It's like multiplying your brain power, and you can achieve amazing results. That's it. And basically, I think that regarding like to avoid dupes, what I can say is that, I mean, I love to hack something that is already with a security control in place. So that's one of my favorite things now. Like if there's like a security control, like a security, like something sanitizing user input, or like you're not supposed to do this, you just go after that, and you go deep, like Joel said, and that's where like the cosmic stuff is, like the gold is there. So, and you'll not find dupes, and you can find human unintended stuff, but it's like deterministic, because it's a computer that you are attacking, it's a server, and you just make it bend to your will, and you make it do like super unintended things, and that won't dupe for sure. That's like my advice regarding dupes.
And what about you, Tommy? You just recently got yours. Did you collaborate with anybody at H1415, or did collaboration play any role at all in you winning?
It definitely played a role in me winning. I have a friend of mine that doesn't do bug bounties that I hack with a lot. Somebody that I used to hack with many years ago, and it's uh, I learned a whole lot from him just because during my times when I was forced to not be hacking and missing all kinds of stuff, he was still able to hack and everything. So he never had that time off, and he's been hacking for as long as I have. So I personally like hacking with other people. It, like I said in the chat a couple of seconds ago, it reminds me of hacking back in the 90s, where we would have a IRC group or IRC channel on some network, and it would be anywhere from 2 or 3 of us up to like maybe 10 of us, and we're all just hacking together, sharing information and learning from each other. And that's like it's still alive in today's bug bounty culture, and it's really cool. The only difference is we're making money doing this legally instead of defacing websites like we were back then. But
Yeah.
it definitely plays a role in a lot of my hacking. But um, yeah. So yeah, basically.
Let's I want to talk about, like at this level, especially when you go to these giant events and they're competitive, right? At the level of hacking outside the events too, it's very competitive because you have to be able to find really cool bugs, really good bugs to get the most payout. You're going after targets that have been looked at by other people. They've been doing a bug bounty program for a few years. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort to, stay up to date with every technique and every new um, anything that's new that helps you in your bug hunting journey and hacking. I want to understand, how do you guys stay up to date? How do you pick up new skills? How do you when you see a new vulnerability type or a new research come out, how do you learn it and practice it in your bug bounty hunting? Let's start with you, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely was, I feel like this was a lot easier when I was in college, and I had more time. I used to read like a lot of blogs, and
Yeah.
I would find blogs from like a variety of places, whether it be sent to me by people. I'm subscribed to a couple different mailing lists, Cron.daily, or Cron.weekly, I think it's called. The Dan Missler's security newsletter, Zero Daily, although I'm not sure if that's still going on. The Hacker News, I think it's called, which sends out like a daily sort of digest. Twitter is huge. I mostly now I get my news from Twitter, so I follow on Twitter sort of what's going on, and if it's something that's like extraordinary or like super in my wheelhouse, love like mobile security or like some wild like weird bug that I would like, then somebody will usually send it to me directly. But yeah, I feel like Twitter is usually like, if you can curate sort of like your feed, like you can get like pretty much everything that's going on like really well.
What about you, Andre? How do you at this level, how do you learn new stuff, and where do you digest all your new techniques? Where do you get them from?
Mostly from CTFs, and also I've been building upon my my bug bounty experience and hacking on real world stuff and more web stuff. So every time that I hack, I try to find like something new. For instance, like I never found web cache deceptions, and like one of the last events, I just focused on them, and like I popped 3 of them, and like I just pushed myself to new challenges, and gets me the knowledge that I need and that I want to get like in the future, and that's what moves me and also what gives me more power. That's it.
And what about you, Cosman?
Yeah, so I also keep up to date via Twitter. I try to follow the right people and not follow toxic people. So then I have there lots of resources. I try to read about them. And if I found something really interesting, I try to replicate it in a practical environment. Like if it's on Academy, if it's on Pentester Lab, it's fine. If not, maybe I can set up my server. I try to do it. But in reality, I'm lagging behind because this takes a lot of time, and I prefer doing my own little research in my very special niche.
Very cool. Tommy, what about you? I know you, giving you an example of, I know you've gone extremely better at SSRFs. You've practiced on getting better. How do you get better at all the things that you have been getting better in the past few years? And where do you get your information from? You're on mute right now.
I read every disclosed report on HackerOne. I follow about 1,000 people or so on Twitter that share write-ups for various bugs. I don't care what kind of bug it is. It can be a reflected XSS. If it's a blog post written about the bug and how they found it, I'm going to read it just in case it has something that I didn't know. I follow a lot of stuff on packetstormsecurity.com, reading new articles and everything, just about various types of attacks and stuff like that. As far as SSRF, I've gotten better at that, mainly because of Bug Bounty HQ, Mark Litchfield. I learned a shitload from him at each time we go to one of these live hacking events and we get to actually hack together and stuff. He's extremely good at SSRF, and learning from tricks and stuff that he's done in the past and everything like that has taught me like an ungodly amount of stuff about it. And there's other times I read, there's a French guy, I forgot his name, but he published something about some SSRFs and stuff like that. And I've read his it's not really a blog, but kind of
Agari
like
FR?
what'd you say?
Agari FR, Nicholas Grigor, I think is his name.
Yeah. That's him. He's got extremely good information. Anything that he puts out, I highly recommend reading. He's an extremely intelligent person. Same thing with guy that works at Burp or Portswigger, James Kettle.
Yep.
Yeah, that's him. Agari FR, that's him. If you guys don't follow him, check him out. His information is extremely good, and yeah, he's like that.
You said
So
the other one
I
was
highly
James Kettle?
James Kettle from Burp. He comes out with some really amazing like new attack vectors, like that whole response splitting stuff that he just came out with recently and everything. He's somebody I highly suggest to follow, and you can learn a lot from him as well. He's also pretty good. He's on the Bug Bounty forum with us, and he's pretty helpful when people have questions and stuff like that for him. So definitely a good guy.
Very cool. And I want to end the stream. We're almost at the time to end it. I want to end the stream on a very fun note. Ask you guys, what is your favorite event? And if you want to share a memory from that event and tell me why it's your favorite event. Let's start with you, Tommy.
My favorite event naturally was 415, this past one, just because I won it and I got that was like a trifecta. I got the award for most rep since I was number one on the leaderboard. I got the belt, and I got my comic book cover that I've wanted since they did the very first ones back in like 2016 or 17. So that one was my favorite, but I love the H1702. I've been to all 4 years of it, and they always get bigger and better. And it's like, while we're there, it's like, how can they possibly top this next year? And somehow y'all manage to do it every time. But yeah, those would be my favorite.
What about you, Cosman? Do you have any favorite events or any events that it's very memorable for you?
I think for me, the H1702 in 2018 as being my first event was the best one because I got to meet all the people I want. We also had that really cool windstorm thing on top.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's the most funny memory I have. It was like we were driven with a bus to one target. I was sitting randomly somewhere, and Franz sat down next to me, and he was like, "Hey, I'm Franz," and I was like, "Yeah, I know. Everybody knows, man. We're famous."
Very cool. What about you, Andre?
So yeah, my favorite event was not the event that I got the MVH. It was H1 Forward 5 2019. because like I popped a really cool bug, and there's the interview that we had, Ben. But that bug changed my mind, just blew my mind, and that's like my favorite event so far. And my favorite memory was like last year when we were on the road trip to Vegas, Team Blaze It, and we were like on an Airbnb, and then we were like driving in Lake Tahoe and stuff, and we were listening to some really good music, and like that, and like being with your friends, but like your bug bounty friends that are also your family. Like it's just like amazing, like being there, driving to Vegas, hacking on the way. Like I just like miss it so much, and we cannot go there. Like we cannot be together now, but we are far from each other. But we are still here.
Very well said, man. Nicely said. What about you, Joel?
Yeah, man, this is a hard choice. Because there's so many events. I feel like the Shopify event, which was what 514, I think. Yeah, that one changed a lot of things for me. For one, that was like one of the largest single bounties I've ever gotten. It was a really cool mobile bug. It's actually disclosed on Shopify. And yeah, I mean, it was just like from that point on, like the whole way that I hack changed. Right before that, I feel like I had done like a lot of like kind of low hanging fruit stuff, and then from there, I just changed like my whole perspective on hacking changed, and made me start hacking with people like Andre, and just like yeah, I mean, it's been awesome.
Very cool. I just posted the bug you were talking about on my stream, so people could also go read it if you want to look at. Very cool. There was also, I've been posting this video of you, and I love how Tommy has his poster. I can see yours, Joel, in the corner, kind of.
It's on the wall there.
The last thing I want to talk about is you two have this ongoing meme. You have become a meme. Tell me a little bit about this video that's up. What was going on here? I know you can't talk about disclosing the vuln itself, but it's great that we have your reaction. But I want to hear from you and Andre. What was this about?
Sure. Okay. So the thing that Andre just talked about, his favorite event, right? That was this event, and he had found this crazy bug, and then I wasn't able to make the road trip because I had work, but I met up with them in Vegas, and he was telling me about, in SF, and he was telling me about this, and I was like, this is weird. Let's like try some more of this. And so we were messing around, and then we tried like a different method of doing this, and it worked. And that's like when we shut the laptop. So like it had just, and then like I think if you scroll down on that, you like replied with the full video of like what happened after, because then we reopened it to like make sure that it had actually just popped, and it had. So I mean, yeah, it was just like it's one of those moments that's like just you can sort of like see it where it's like oh shit. I don't know. Andre, do you have anything to add?
Exactly. It was like so synchronized. I mean, like I didn't even notice until we saw the video that we closed actually the laptops like that. Like it was so unexpected what happened, like because we have seen a similar behavior happening. So we just like, holy shit, the event was already ending, and we're like, are we able to do the same thing like using a different path? Like it was just like a cold feeling again. Like it was just like this could be like huge again, so let's just like close our laptops. Like it's top secret, that was our feeling. Like we need to talk with someone.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, very cool. Unfortunately we are at the end of the stream, but before I end this, I want to seriously say thank you guys for joining me. This was really, really fun. It's always good hearing from you guys when it comes down to hearing about how to become an MVH $1 million hacker, and hearing about your journey and what it took you guys to get here. So I seriously appreciate you guys being here. Thank you again so much. Chat, give it up for Joel, Tommy, Andre, Cosman. If you want to follow them on Twitter, you definitely should. Just put the guest command. I also did it for you guys on here. But again, thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate you guys being here, and I look forward to seeing more of you guys' work on HackerOne.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was awesome.
Very cool.
Thank you,
guys.
Ben.
We'll talk soon. See you guys.
Thank you. Everybody have a good one.
Have a good one.
See you.
Goodbye, man.
See you guys. All right. That was it. Again, thank you guys for joining me. That was really, really fun. That's it. This was the last live coverage of the H1 2004 event with HackerOne. I'll be back online tomorrow, but it will not be during my regular session. It would be at 7 p.m., which is 2:30 a.m. in Europe, GMT, if you want to join. So I'll be back online around 7 tomorrow on Wednesday. Tune in, and we're going to wrap up the entire event, and then we're going to watch the closing ceremony. So again, I will see you guys all tomorrow if you can make it. Thank you all again for joining, and a big shout out to Why Are We Evil, Duck Sunder, and Evan for the subs. I appreciate you guys for supporting me. Thank you so much. That's it for me. I gotta go back to work. Have a good day. Have a good night. Please stay safe, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Peace.